Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our mathematics revision class, and in this class we are going to be solving Math 1100 2023 exam question, and this is our part 5. So let's quickly start. So for A, we solved it in part 4, so please make sure that you check out part 4. So I'll start on B and then I'll say solution. So this question is coming from binary operation, and we have been given n plus 2 complement is equal to 12 factorial. So you need to follow the factorial rule for you to work out this particular question, and for the factorial rule I'll simply explain it during our lecture class. So n plus 2 factorial can also be written as n plus 2 close brackets n plus 1 close brackets and n plus 1 minus 1 and then factorial. So this is how that guy can also be written. So with that in mind, we can simply equate this guy, which is n plus 2 and then n plus 1 and then n plus 1 minus 1 factorial. Will equate it to 12n factorial. So 12n factorial. So with that, we know this will remain as it is, n plus 2 and then n plus 1, and then we know n plus 1 minus 1, it is n, so you're going to have n factorial is simply equal to 12n factorial. After we have that, it's very easy for anyone to pick it up, so this and that will go. So we now have n plus 2 and then n plus 1, and then this should be equal to 12. Then once we have that, we can multiply n times n. This will give us n squared. N times 1, it will give us n, and then 2 times n, it's going to give us 2n, and then 2 times 1, it will simply give us a 2, which all this should be equal to 0. We can, it's equal to 12, that 12 on top. So we can correct like them. So this will be n squared plus 3n, because n plus n is 3n, plus 2 minus 12 is equal to 0. So a 12 has crossed the equal sign, that's why it has become a negative there. With that in mind, we can simply work out everything. We can say n squared plus 3n is minus 10, simply equal to 0. So this equation, you can look for the product, sum and factor, of which the product here, you multiply the coefficients of n times the constant 10, it will give us negative 10. Then the coefficients of n, it becomes our sum, and then the factors will look for two numbers. When we multiply, they'll give us negative 10, and then when we add them, they'll give us a 3 there. So if you look at the number which we can utilize in that particular case, whereby we have a 3 and a negative 10, so we can pick 5 and negative 2. 5 and negative 2. So those are the two numbers which you can utilize as your factors. Those are the numbers which you can utilize as your factors. So from that, yes, I can hear a hand. Yes, what's the question? There's someone who has a question? Okay, since no one has a question, so this can be factorized as n plus 5 brackets and also n minus 2 cross bracket is equal to 0. So this simply means that n plus 5 is equal to 0 and n minus 2 is simply equal to 0. So this means that n is equal to negative 5 and n is equal to 2. So these are the two solutions of n that we were looking for. With that being said, if there is any questions, you are free to unmute yourself. But if there is no question, I can move on and look at the next question. Any question? Okay, that silence means that there is no question. Since we don't have a question, we can move on and look at 2. So 2 is also an easy question. Most of the concepts I'll give them when I have a lecture class with you concerning this same topic. So for this one, you have 2x minus 1 over 2x squared, and then you say to the power 12. Once you have that information, it's very easy for you to take note of a, b, n, and the r. So this is your a, this is your b, and this is your n. But r you don't know, so the r term has to come from this particular guy here. So with that in mind, we can simply say a is equal to 2x, b is equal to negative 1 over 2x squared, and n is equal to 12, of which r we don't know. So let's quickly look for r, which can easily be done. Since we are looking for a term that is having that particular guy there, so the rth term, we can simply say is equal to r. So we are going to say r minus 1 should be equal to 3. So r is just a 4. After finding the rth term, we can easily use the formula. And this formula is n r minus 1, then a to the power n minus r minus 1, and then b, you are going to use the formula r minus 1. So this is the formula that each one of you is supposed to take note of. So these formulas, I'll explain them more when I have a lecture class with you, so that you'll be able to know and be able to understand fully. So from there, n is a 12, r is a 4, so you have 4 minus 1, and then brackets there. You have your a, which is 2x, then you're going to say n, which is 12 minus r, which is 4 minus 1. Then your b is a negative 1 over 2x squared, and then to the power r minus 1, which is 4 minus 1. Once we have that information, it's very easy for us to move to the next step, which is 12 combination 3, because 4 minus 1, it is 3. Then there you're going to have you're going to subtract those guys. You're going to subtract those two guys inside. So 4 minus 1, it's simply 3, and then 12 minus 3 is simply equal to 9. So you're going to have 2x to the power 9. Then for these guys, 4 minus 3 is negative 1 over 2x squared to the power 3. So if we have such an expression, we can easily move on and look at what 12 combination 3 is and what the rest are. So I'll move on. I'm going to rewrite my same thing which I wrote here. So I'm going to say 12 combination 3, and then a, which is 2x to the power 9, and then b, which is negative 1 over 2x squared to the power 3. With that knowledge and with that understanding, we can apply the rule of the coefficient rule on binary expansion. So coefficient rule is the one which will help us to expand 12 combination 3, and then we are also going to expand these guys using the normal algebraic rules. So 12 combination 3, it's the same as something which we can write as follows. So 12 combination 3 is something that we can work out easily. We can say it is 12 factorial over 12 minus r, which is 3, minus r, which is 3, and then 3 factorial. So that's how you express it. Or in terms of the formula which is there, n combination r, the formula which you have to use is n factorial over n minus r factorial r factorial. So this is the formula you have to apply at that particular point. So with this will be the same, 2x to the power 9, and then you have negative 1 over 2x squared to the power 3. With this information, you can say 12 factorial over 12 minus 3, it is simply 9 factorial, and then you have 3 factorial, and then there you are going to have times, you have 2 to the power 9, it is 512. So 512 x to the power 9, and then you say times, you know this is a negative, so that's an odd number, so it will maintain as a negative, and then there it will simply be 2 to the power 3, it is 8, and then x squared times 3, it is just x to the power 6. So this is what we have on that particular point. After having such information, we can easily expand 12 factorial. So we are going to say 12 times 11 times 10 times 9 factorial. then you have over, you're going to say 9 factorial times 3 times 2 times 1. Automatically, with that in mind, then this 9 factorial and that 9 factorial will go. Then from there, you're going to have times 512 x to the power 9 times negative 1 over 8 x to the power 6. Here you can easily work out this expression the way it is there. You can easily work out everything, but I'll take it a little bit, I'll be a little bit patient and do everything in an easy way. So from that point, you can move on. You're going to say 12 times 11 times 10. Automatically, you know 3 times 2, it is a 6. 3 times 2, it is a 6. So this one into times that, it is 6. 6 into 12, it's simply 2. So you now have 2 times 11 times 10. So 2 times 11, it is 22. 22 times 10, it is 220. So very easy to handle. Remember, you don't have a calculator, so this will give us a 220. So we have a 220, and then times, we know the fact that there this 8 into 516, it will give us 64. Yeah, 8 into 516, it's somewhere 64. I hope my calculations are okay. Then this and that guy will give us x cubed. So what we have now is 64x cubed, and then times negative 1 over 1. Okay, 1 over 1. I'll write it like that. Once I have such a situation, this will give me now negative 1 times everything. So this will be negative 220 times 64x cubed. So this times that, it will give me a number which is going to be negative 14,080 x cubed. So after I do that, then I have found the coefficient. So I'll simply say, therefore the coefficient of x cubed, is negative 14080. So this was the final answer. I would advise you to go and also check up my solution for math 1120, where I did the finding the term independent of x. So please take note of my solution which I did at that particular point. Do we have any question before I move on to my next question? Yes, what's your question?
Sir, how did you find the value of R?
I just did R minus 1 is equal to 3. The 3 I'm getting from that cube, from that guy. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's move on and look at the next one. let's move on and look at the next one. So guys, make sure that you go through these questions afterwards. Make sure that you go through so that you'll be able to catch up. You'll be able to catch up. Yeah. All right. Let's move on and look at the next question. Okay, this is our C, which is also an easy question, and it is still on binary expansion. So binary expansion is a topic which is a little bit long and involving, so you just have to make sure that you are able to follow it up. So from here, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on and look at C, solution. So C, it needs some bit of changings. So you have expand that in ascending powers of x up to and including the term involving x cubed. Very easy question. So you have 1 over x plus x over 2. So this is the same as, you know, when something is 1 over x is the same as x to the power negative 1. So this can be written as 1 plus x over 2 to the power negative 1. So once we have that in mind, we can simply expand our expression. We can simply expand our expression and find a way we can do the question. So if you look at how this question is, you can easily factorize, you can easily work it out. Is there a value there? I think there isn't. Okay, so for this one, what you have to do is to use a formula, for 1 plus x to the power n, and this is the same as 1 plus nx plus, you are going to say 1 plus nx plus n, then you are going to say x minus n minus 1, then you're going to have x squared, and then over n 2 factorial, not n, over 2 factorial, and then you're going to say once again plus, you're going to put n, then you say n minus 1, and then n minus 2, and then you're going to have n minus 1, n minus 2, and then you're going to have x cubed over 3 factorial, and then lastly there you're going to simply say plus infinity. Okay, so with this in mind, what you're going to take note of are the what is representing x, what is representing 1. So in this case you have that one as your 1, that one is representing an x. Okay, so after you get that, what you have to do now is just to simply plug in the values that you have, and then you work it out. So let's quickly utilize what we have. So what we have is 1 plus x over 2 to the power negative 1. So this will give us a 1 plus, remember n is a negative, remember n is simply a negative. Since n is a negative, you can find the what? You can easily find the value since n is a negative. So you're going to write negative 1, which is this one here. That's your n, and then your x with this guy, which is representing an x there, is going to be x over 2, like that. So this is how you are going to write it in that particular way. Once you have that information in mind, what you are now going to do again, you say plus, where there is n, you're going to put negative 1, and then again you say negative 1 minus 1, and then where there is x squared, you put x over 2, and then you put squared. This all of it is over 2 factorial, which is simply 2 times 1. Then you say plus, you're going to say n is still negative 1, then there it will be negative 1 minus 1, and then there it will be negative 1 minus 2, and then you're going to have x over 2 cubed over 3 factorial is simply 3 times 2 times 1, and this you say plus infinity there. So after you do that, ladies and gentlemen, after you apply those formulas and do your summations, what you are now going to have is your first thing. You are going to have 1 plus x over 2, and then negative 1, and then this guy will simply be equal to 1, and then you say minus this times that, it's simply x over 2. Then you are going to say plus, what I'll do here, I'll simply work out negative 1, negative 2, the negative 1 here, it will be negative 1, that one negative 2, right? And then that's 1 and 2. So negative 1 times negative 2, it is simply positive 2. It is simply positive 2. So 2 and 2, it will give you a 1. So not 2. So let me just write that 2, and then I'll have dot x squared, and then over 4, x squared over 4. Then this, we are dividing it throughout by a 2, so that 2 there, I can just write it there, divide by a 2. I don't want to be a little bit fast. So from there, you know, this will be a negative, that will be a negative 2, that will be a negative 3. So negative times negative 2, it's positive 2, times that negative 6. So you're going to have plus negative 6 there, which we are multiplying it by x cubed is simply x cubed, and then over 2 cubed is simply 8, and then this whole expression, we are dividing it by 2 times 3, which is simply a 6 plus like that. With that information, ladies and gentlemen, we can move on and look at something else. So there we will continue with our solution. What we are going to do is we have 1 plus x over 2 to the power negative 1, which should be simply equal to, we'll go up there, I'll get my 1 minus x over 2, and then on top I have a plus. Okay, and then what I'll do is that I'll say 2 into 2, it's 1. 2 into 4, it's 2. So there, and then this one will change the sign. So this will simply give me something like x squared over 2, and then that divided by 2 will be there. And then there I'll say plus, I'll get my other guy who is negative 6 here. So I can easily multiply this one and that one. This will give me negative 6x cubed over 8, and then divide by a 6, and that will be plus infinity. So all that information here, I've worked it out and I'm almost finishing. So now I have 1 plus x over 2 neg 1, which should be equal to 1 minus x over 2, and this is the same as plus x squared over 2 times 1 over 2, and then this will be minus there because of that negative. Then I'll say 6 over 8x cubed times 1 over 6. Then I'll say plus, like that. Then at that particular point, I can easily, this one is 1 and that one is a 1. So our answer will look like that, whereby I'll have bracket a 1 plus x over 2. So that one will be 1 minus x over 2, and then I will also say this times that is a 4, so plus 1 over 4x to the power 2, and then I'll say minus, I'll say 1 over 8x cubed, and then plus, like that. So this is how easy this question was. Very easy, and it's something that anyone is capable of handling if at all you understand the whole concept. Okay, so if we are able to handle that, the last part, it's the easiest part. The last part, it is the easiest part. So that part, what I'll do, I'll work it out as follows. So I'll say solution, that's for my last part. So this is 1 over 1 plus x over 2, and then this can be written as 1 plus x over 2, and then to the power negative 1. What you are going to do here, you are going to get this particular guy here, just that which is here. So you are going to get it and say modulus of x over 2, and then this should be greater than, that guy should be greater than, and then there you are just going to put a, there you are just going to put the other side, you're just going to put a 1. The other side, you're just going to put a 1. So like that. So from here, if you change this, if you change that guy, this will be x over 2. It's going to give you is greater than 1. Is greater than 1. Actually, not greater than. You have to put less than there. Let me just make that. So this one, you say that and that, and then or you know x over 2, since it's an absolute value, it's going to be greater than negative 1. So these are the two statements that you are going to have, but these two statements can be married, they can be put together. So that simply means that when this one is multiplied there, you can have x is greater than 2. This one there, you can have x is greater than -1, x is less than 2, x is greater than -2, like that. So if you have these two guys, you can put them together and you're going to have -2 is less than x, which is also less than a 2. So this is also a way you can find. So there are other questions on this same concept which you have to know. I haven't seen them in both Math 1100 and Math 1120, and since they are not there, you need to make sure that you know them because those are likely to be there. Okay, so thank you very much guys for joining me. For those with questions right now, you're free to ask me, and then for those who are going to have questions afterwards, you are also free to WhatsApp me on those lines. But remember that there is part 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is part 5, so watch all the parts.